So it could be 300 horsepower into you here, and it could be 300 horsepower into you here. Vice versa, could be here, like that. One is that because I did not elastically wind up my arm as it's coming, right? It could flow and change trajectory. So where does the power come from? Here, block. Okay. So that's what in the wind through ears, right? So in a more compact way, you hear here, in like that. And it just happens just like that, see? Boom. Like that. So fast. So I'm coming, he's blocking, and see, he's outlined against all of that, right? So what happened there? Yeah, so again, he's expecting, and then he got plucked, and then you follow through. All right, thanks for helping me with this discussion. So we were talking about ways of being fast. You could move just faster. You could be linearly faster. You could have less telegraph, less wind up, so you're ready faster. There's another important type of speed that is important, which is the speed of change. How quickly you can change what you are doing, which is something that Tai Chi is very good at. Because Tai Chi is not really known for necessarily their linear, drag race velocity, but it is very changeable. And so I believe it was the master Sun Lutang who said that one of the hallmarks of the internal arts is that their movements are reversible, meaning, let's say you do Tai Chi, you do this, you can go forward or back, and it feels natural in both directions. Whereas you do something like, let's say, a baseball throw, okay, then doing a backwards baseball throw, that feels weird. Try it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
You can't quite,
no.
Yeah, because you're using your body like a catapult, and the way you reload the catapult is not the way necessarily fired. It's not the same art. The way this goes out, it cannot be rewinded because the anatomy going one way and the anatomy going the other way is not the same. They're not mirrors of each other. So, and why is this important? Well, because Tai Chi, the way we go in the movement and then we come back, is compatible both ways. That means you could at any moment shift gears and go between those things. Because we're not using our body in that elastic type of rubber band catapult tension that you do for certain other things. So let me show you how this can be useful, right? So we have a technique, wind through ears, right? It goes like this. Maybe after you kick, you do wind through ears. Okay. So if you block my punch, boom, like that, right? So, boom, boom, boom. Okay. So you can respond to all of that, okay? So, one is that because I did not elastically wind up my arm as it's coming, right? It could flow and change trajectory. So where does the power come from? Here, block. Okay. The power comes from the song that flows through your body, flows through my body. So come forward a little bit. So I'm just gonna push you. So we've done this many times where I'm relaxed and I flow my way into you, and that moves you, right? So this flow of the weight is the main horsepower, the main engine. So while that's happening, then this hand, it's just a steering wheel. So your car's got 300 horsepower or something. You're under your hood. It's going like that, and the wheels can turn this way and that way quite a fair bit without the car flipping over or something like that. So the hands are like the wheel. The hands can steer around in different directions while the whole thing is still moving forward with 300 horsepower. Does that make sense? So it could be 300 horsepower into you here, and it could be 300 horsepower into you here. Vice versa, could be here, like that. So, so because of that changeability, we can switch between these two configurations while delivering like nearly our full weight, our full momentum of force into them. Does that make sense? So that means that where a baseball throw, once I start to launch it, there's no change left. I just have to finish it, right? I guess they could change it a little bit by doing a little bit different things in your finger. That's how you throw curveballs, right? So they have that little bit of changeability. But basically the ball is still going, to that zone. But in this, we can change quite a big amount. And I do see some fighters, who was it, that shows this really well in UFC, where he's able to, maybe it was Pride. I'm going to look this up. Who I was watching that was really awesome at this, and I'm going to put in the subtitles. But it's not exclusive to Tai Chi. But I see some people they come and then you can't tell whether it's going to be an overhand or uppercut or a straight cross. It just all looks the same until you get hit by it. And I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. That's someone with top athletic talent and top physique doing this kind of principle. So that's nice to see. But that is something that we make use of in Tai Chi. Make sense so far?
Yes.
Another is that another way to use this kind of changeability, the speed of change, is when they block. So he blocks, boom, like that, right? So normally, after I do this, people pull back and do another attack. So we're in this kind of situation, okay? But when you can change more speedily, more often, you could do this. Okay, so come for a little bit. I'll go slow motion. So he's got a longish block like this. He's got our energy, and I just make this circle, and it would just continue through. So that's what in the wind through ears. This downward press sinking part is like that. So yeah, so it's like boom, 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 like that. So does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But that's like the biggest motion. As you know, what we practice with very big movements in the form, in use may be much more compact, right? So in a more compact way, you're here, in like that. And it just happens just like that, see? Boom, like that. So you can do this kind of changes. So that ends up being faster than him. Even if he has faster hands than me, he could block and counter really quickly. Because what is really happening is he commits to the wrong action. He's committed to blocking this, and I've changed. And so even though he's faster in a race, if he races the wrong finish line, then I'll still win, right? Even if I'm slower. And so what happened is, like, we have this race. Mo, you and I were going to race to the finish line. And we start racing, and then I have this special ability to say, rule change, the finish line's over there. He's already all the way over there.
Right.
And then I come back and he's like, that's not fair. Maybe it's not fair. But it is a type of speed to be able to change more often or change more quickly than another person. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's like an art form that you can actually grow older and get better at it. Because, there comes a time when we're at our top physicality, and then we get a little bit slower as time progresses.
Yeah.
And then this allows us to have an added advantage over speed.
Yeah.
Instead of just relying on speed, speed will give way over time.
Speed will give way over time, yeah.
Yes.
And there's other speeds that don't give way as easily over time, yeah. And that changeability is one of them, because I don't have to change really fast, okay? So in this one, I was changing pretty darn fast, okay? But there's things in which don't have to change so fast. So I'm coming, he's blocking, and see, he's outlined against all of that, right? So, what happened there?
Yep, I was expecting to just block, but was driven back.
Yeah, so I made a small change, not very fast. So he's outlined, like, in this angle, in that angle. And I just changed to this line. So instead of this line, I'm in this line. And so his own force was going there. Now it bounces off my angle like this. And you're wedging yourself off balance. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So come here. So you're blocking. See, this is fine, right? See? It didn't have to be a very quick change. And you're able to have that kind of effect, right? Also like this. Oof. Yeah, so again, he's expecting, and then he got plucked, and then you follow through. So by being able to change more often, even if your absolute speed is not very fast, can provide a type of advantage. I'm not saying it beats everything. Like, you got to add all this thing up. If I'm super slow, if I'm like You know, if I'm if I'm like this speed, no matter how fast I change this, I'm probably at a disadvantage. But if I have a casual speed of movement, and I can change that, that's still very advantageous. An example would be like if we have weapons. Imagine you have a blade, right? And I attack and you want to block, right? But I can change. Then that's one type of advantage. You attack me, and I block, and you try to get your hand out of the way, right? So that's another type of situation where you can see that. Another one is if we're not yet in this distance. If we're really close like this, if he's just really fast in a straight line, and you get his hand to my face, that's extremely advantageous for him, extremely dangerous for me, right? But when we have to get close, then that's a different game, and that's what you see in a match. People are trying to figure out when's the right time to go through, right? So when does he have his weight on the wrong foot, or when does he try to block the wrong thing? But aside from those things, it's also how well you can change. So I come forward and you attack me when I get into range, right? Boom, right? So this kind of situation, so I try and figure out, I come in, he punches me when I'm in range, right? Let's go. So being able to throw that punch, so it's coming like this. I'm stepping forward in the middle of my step to drift my weight out a little bit to the side is another change I'm able to make while he's kind of committed to coming forward. If I push off my foot to go forward, like I go hook and he throws that punch, I cannot change. I'm going to get hit, right? But if I am able to manipulate how my weight flows back and forth, the way we practice in Tai Chi, how my weight flows between my 2 feet, then I come forward, he punches me, I can still drift, whether I want to drift this way, right? Or drift this way, like that. Shifting my center of mass to have one more opportunity to change than you would expect. Similarly, if I'm attacking you and you block, right? So as he blocks, maybe I've shifted and then we're in a different orientation than he expected. So I have a good position and he's missed out line. So these are all different kinds of changing angles by having a faster change or more frequent change than the other party. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Any questions about any of this?
It's very non-linear, like you're going almost like, looks like zigzags almost.
They're totally like zigzags, and they're pretty small. They're pretty small steps. Let's see. In the Tai Chi form, in the long form and stuff like that, you don't see a lot of it. You see some diagonal motion, right? But in the Tai Chi sword, in the Tai Chi sword, then there's all kinds of circle stepping and stuff like that. Attacking and coming offside. In the Tai Chi sword, you'll see a lot of this kind of lateral and diamond stepping movement.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the Tai Chi family hid the more sophisticated footwork. Or maybe they didn't think it was essential to what's being developed. Maybe they wanted the empty hand form to develop your basic internal power, and then your combat application comes out more like in the weapons. It kind of makes sense because that was an era where battle pretty much meant weapons too. But in any case, you can see the real richness of footwork if you look at the Tai Chi Saber, Tai Chi Jian forms.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for helping me illustrate this. Thanks for watching.